are not safe in child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rosette Chu, and I am the host for Fight CPS with Ms. P. And I have Mr. Davis with us today. I also work for the law office of Mr. Davis. And we have our guest today, Cassandra. Hello, Mr. Davis and Cassandra.
Hi.
Good afternoon. How are you both doing?
Pretty good.
So did Cassandra have questions for me today?
Yes.
Okay. Cassandra, what city and state are you in, Cassandra?
I'm in Barstow, California.
Okay. So you're right here in California. I'm a California lawyer. Let's start. What's your first question?
First question was when my kids, since my kids are old enough, like to be, they're like teenagers now, like, is there any way they would be able to like just refuse the services, which my daughter is already doing? Like, she doesn't want to do anything they're telling her, but she keeps on telling them she wants to come home, but they're not letting her. Is there any way she would be able to do something about that?
Yeah, first of all, how old are the children?
13 and 14 now.
Okay. So they're beginning to get that age where they may have an influence on what, the judge determines in their case. They're not quite old enough to really control that. 13 and 14 is a lot different from 17 and 18, right? So, and it's going to depend on their maturity and stuff. But they can talk to their lawyers and have the lawyers file what's called a 388 petition, or make some other type of motion so that the children can be returned to you. I don't want to ask you too many personal questions on, Facebook Live here, or on YouTube, but, I'm not sure what the allegations are or were, and I'm not sure exactly why the judge won't let the children return home, even though they want to. I've been involved in, thousands and thousands of cases, and in a lot of cases, almost all cases, the kids want to go back to their parents. And what the judge says a lot of times, or what the social worker says, is that, if kids have been quote unquote abused, that doesn't mean that they can go home even though they want to. the odd thing about all of that is that, even if the abuse were true, depending on what type of abuse and what type of corrective measures have been taken, there's probably nobody better able to take care of your kids than you. Foster care is not all what we believe that it is, and the group homes aren't all what we believe they are. The other day I was on this show with Georgette, and I told a story about what I did in the beginning of my career in this area of law. I used to represent foster parents when their licenses were being threatened by the state. And the only way a foster parent gets in that position is if they've been accused of some type of kind of heinous child abuse, right? Just regular abuse that you do, they don't really do anything, in my opinion, to foster parents. But if they do something crazy, then the state will try to take their license away. Now, a lot of people will disagree with me on that, but that's just my opinion, my personal and professional opinion. But I've been involved in cases where, my client was accused of causing the death of a child. I'm not sure that was worse than the domestic violence between mom and her boyfriend, where the kid was never hurt. But foster care is not what we believe. It will really be interesting if the attorneys, maybe even the judicial officers, could, somehow anonymously watch what goes on in a foster home or a group home, right? We'd be shocked. And I think a lot of us would take a second look at sending a kid or keeping a kid in foster care, before sending the child back home to the mom who's, marginal, or to the dad who, drinks alcohol. Is it a good thing? No, it's not a good thing. But you're assuming, this is a big assumption, that foster care is better than the family home. And that's not always true. Not always true. I said this the other day, it got Georgette pissed off. But look, I'm going to tell you, in 35 years, have I ever seen good foster parents? Yes, I have. I've seen a lot of bad ones too. So, but you don't know when you're the minor's attorney. You don't know when you're the judge, like where these kids are going to be placed. I have a unique experience that a lot of attorneys don't have. And you'd have to be around my age, which is 63, to have had this experience, at least in LA County. When I started doing this in 1989, if you were a court-appointed attorney, you represented parents, relatives, and children, right? Nowadays, you either represent the parent or you represent the child, right? So people are become, quote-unquote, experts in representing children. Well, there's something to be said about representing all of the people involved in the case, because then you're more, in my opinion, just my personal opinion, you're a little bit more well-rounded, right? There are a lot of good minors attorneys and, a lot of mediocre minors attorneys. And there are a lot of, minors attorneys that don't know what it's like to represent a parent, don't know what social workers do and don't do to parents, I remember a case, this is many years ago, where I had a minor's attorney, a real smart lawyer, really smart, but in my opinion was anti-family reunification because of the allegations that had happened against the parents. But our system is one where if the judge orders family reunification services, which are most cases, not all, but most cases, that's what we're supposed to be doing, helping the family get together. And sometimes I see a minor's attorney, no matter what the judge says, they fight against the child being returned. Now, they're using, obviously, their own experiences, right? And they're using their own belief patterns. But that creeps in, they're only human beings. That creeps in everywhere. But anyway, to get back to your question, you can also file a 388 petition. So you should be talking to your lawyer about filing it, because you can go to the court and say, hey, Judge, I got a 13 and 14-year-old that are refusing services. Why don't you just send them back home with me? And, I've done the parenting, I've done the counseling, I've done this or that. I don't know what the judge ordered. And, the children should be returned.
Okay.
You look kind of young to have a 13 and 14-year-old.
I'm 30.
Oh, okay.
She has a young soul. She has a very young soul.
Right. What's your next question there, Cassandra?
And speaking of the 388 thing, like, how could I get my public defender to do anything to change my case plan? And if she could, and like, because all the necessary things that they want me to do, well, all the things they want me to do are unnecessary things, like go to NA and domestic violence class for like stuff that I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I'm the non-offending parent. So like, they're trying to make me go to NA when I don't have any drug allegations, and to go to domestic violence classes because of things that happened between me and my mom in the past.
Right. There is something that you can do. When those kinds of orders are made, you can appeal them. You could file a notice of appeal after your disposition hearing and say, maybe you're not challenging the children being placed out of your care, but you're challenging what the judge ordered for reunification services. And I have seen a couple of appellate cases where it talked about, the parent didn't need to take this parenting class. That didn't need to be ordered. In a lot of cases, all around the state of California where I do cases, parenting I think still is, it's ordered automatically.
Yeah, I already had parenting classes done through my county of San Bernardino, and they didn't take them. They wouldn't take it. They said I had to redo them.
Interesting. That's all an issue of the appeal. The other thing that you can do if you didn't appeal that is you can file a 388 petition and ask the judge to do away with that requirement. But if the judge says no and you appeal it and you lose that appeal, you're stuck with doing this, or you're not going to get your kids back. That's just the reality of it. I'm not sure that's the law, because the law says if you don't do your services, I think it says you're presumed to be a risk to the child. But since it's a presumption, you can always overcome that presumption and present evidence to show that you're not a risk to the child. But all that takes, work and trials and hearings and preparing 388 petitions and the like, bringing in witnesses. So, a lot of people ask me, well, isn't this the law, blah, 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 blah. And I tell them, yeah, that's the law, but that's not how you get a judge to rule a certain way. To get the judge to rule a certain way, you need the law, plus you need evidence, admissible evidence. A lot of people forget that part of the equation. Just because you have the law on your side does not mean you're going to win. So don't think that. It's a false assumption. You need the law plus the evidence. Now you got a winner. Okay? Well, what evidence? Well, that's on a case-by-case basis, right? And it has to be competent and admissible evidence. Well, what's admissible evidence? Well, I could give you a 2-week course on that, 8 hours a day. Very difficult to explain sometimes. The California Evidence Code, just the code itself, is about that thick. Thin paper, about that thick. It's not a simple thing. And then there are cases that further expound on evidentiary rules in the evidence code, and their court rules and their local rules, and the whole thing. It gets complicated, even if you're an attorney. Don't be one of those people that uses just one thing in the equation. Oh, I got the law on my side. Because law without the evidence, you have a loser every day. Every day. I told a story the other day about a case we just won in Sacramento. where we stress the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Broken bone case, newborn baby, maybe 3 or 4 weeks old or months old, I forget, 3 fractured ribs. We got the case thrown out. Dismissed, judge ordered the kids returned. Why? Evidence. We focused on the evidence or the lack of evidence, the other side of the coin, by the social worker.
I have a question. May I?
Cassandra, shall we let her ask a question?
Yeah, you can ask a question.
All right, go ahead, Georgette.
What if, so basically what I'm hearing is not all evidence is admissible in court.
That is correct.
So everybody that think they have evidence and the attorney didn't do anything about it doesn't necessarily mean it's admissible.
That is correct.
Thank you for that. Just to clarify that.
I'm going to give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
This happened many years ago. A guy walks into my office on a Saturday without an appointment. And, it's pre-COVID, so I'm there most Saturdays. And he tells me what he didn't win his case because the judge didn't believe his evidence, which, by the way, a judge can do.
Mm-hmm.
You can present the evidence and the judge could say, you know what? I don't believe it. They wear the black robe, or she wears the black robe, and they get to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But this judge didn't even look at the evidence because he ruled that it was inadmissible. Okay? The guy had the evidence to win. He did. But he didn't know how to get it into evidence.
Mm-hmm.
He showed up short, not only on knowledge, but on requirements to get that evidence in. And the evidence that he needed to get in were medical records, school records. All he had was pieces of paper. As far as the judge knows, he made those up himself. There are specific requirements to get business records into evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So, not only were the documents he had hearsay, they hadn't been authenticated, right? How do you know they're the real thing? Well, there's a way to do that in the evidence code. It's easy if you know the steps to take. If you don't know, you got a loser.
Mm-hmm.
You got a loser. Not too long ago, I did a trial in family law court, divorce court, and the attorney on the other side, it was obvious, wasn't an expert in the evidence code. He was trying to get stuff in and witness testimony in that wasn't admissible. And then I started objecting. Objection, Your Honor. Speculation, foundation, hearsay, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you should have seen the look on his face. He was lost. And this guy is like a 15-year attorney. He was no slouch. He was an expert in the family code. He knew the law. But what does Davis say? You need the law plus the evidence, or you got a loser. And you know what you need? When you need the evidence, you need a lawyer. Now, you don't have to hire me. You can use your court-appointed attorney.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to talk to them about evidence and about getting evidence in, or about subpoenaing the witness. I had a conference call today with a client. She wanted to know what witnesses we were subpoenaing to court. She had seen some of my videos. She knew we had to subpoena people to court or people wouldn't show up. And then we'd have a loser. Right? So you got to have the evidence.
Okay.
Okay, look, this comment. Jesus always wins. But it's a picture of a woman. I don't know what that means. She's on YouTube watching us live. She says, what if the judge doesn't allow or want my evidence? Jesus always wins? That's what I was just talking about. You have to plan before you go to court how you're going to get evidence admitted. Don't be like that guy that just showed up at my office and said, "Oh, I just brought these documents to court. I told the judge they were correct documents from the hospital and the school, but he didn't read it. Judge must be corrupt." No, judge wasn't corrupt. You just didn't know the rules. And Jesus always wins. In order to know the rules of evidence, unless you've taken that class in law school and had some experience with it, you're going to need a lawyer. You're going to need that court-appointed attorney. So you may not like your court-appointed attorney, and if you ain't got a money tree in the backyard where you can just go hire, Johnny Cochran and the Dream Team, you better work with that court-appointed attorney. Try to figure some shit out. Okay?
Mr. Davis, if I may add, or if I may request, sir, if you would allow me to give a 20% discount for retainers on all the people watching the show right now. I do know John needs help because he does have a trial on the 16th of May. So,
well, it's only the 12th of May.
Well, it's coming up soon. So, is it okay with you, sir, if I can offer 20% discount on all retainers?
You know what? You can, Georgette, for the people that are watching the show today, and somehow you got to figure out how to make that happen, because all of a sudden you're going to get people calling you just out of the blue that don't know anything about your show. But yeah, it's fine. Okay. We're trying to help people and
thank you.
Trying to fight CPS.
All right, thank you. I've done all my services. Social worker says that she is not recommending baby come home, but in California, isn't it the law that unless there is substantial evidence I am a danger, they must return baby? That's a question for you, Mr. Davis.
Okay, Violet. The answer to that depends on whether you're having a disposition hearing or a 6-month review hearing or the 12-month review. Okay, because that word substantial evidence technically applies to the disposition hearing. At the disposition hearing, they have to prove by clear and convincing evidence, substantial evidence, that you are a danger, that you are a substantial danger to the child. If they can't prove that, the child has to be sent home. There's another thing they have to prove also, that there's no less restrictive alternatives. What's a less restrictive alternative? Oh, family preservation comes to your house 5 days a week. Checks you out, make sure you're not abusing the kid or not high on drugs. What's another less restrictive alternative? Oh, grandma moves in with you, keep an eye on your ass to make sure that nothing happens. Or the family friends. There's a lot of ways that you can show the judge that there are alternatives. So in the disposition hearing, you have to prove the clear and convincing evidence of a substantial danger plus no less restrictive alternatives. And so many people that I talk to at the disposition hearing don't do a trial. Big mistake in my opinion, depending on the facts and circumstances, of course. But you should always try to have a disposition because, to be a clear and convincing evidence that you're a substantial danger, not just a danger, that you're a substantial danger to a child, you have to be a bad what. Most of the people that I meet and talk to, I don't know them, but they don't appear to be bad, in that sense. Most of them have made a mistake because of, whatever reason, negligence, but they, not most people don't want to hurt their kids, right? Does that ever happen? Yeah, it does. But most people, look, they don't want to hurt their kids. So then, they got to prove that, plus that there's no alternatives. That's something you got to try, and if you lose, you have to appeal. But that's the best chance you're going to have in the whole framework of the CPS case to get your child back is at the disposition hearing. So I hope that particular question, Violet's mommy, was up for a disposition hearing.
However, oftentimes, Mr. Davis, they do give the children to the abusive parent, and they disregard the non-offending parent. Basically, in Cassandra's case, she's the non-offending parent. She had nothing to do with what was her the father and his girlfriend were doing at the time. So the kids were at the father's house, but however, they alienated Cassandra completely away from her teenage daughters and put her teenage daughters in danger among people doing drugs. And it's crazy that the kids keep running away, and they would rather see them on the street than see them with their mom.
Cassandra, is that true? You were a non-offending parent? In my humble opinion, and I don't know the details of your case.
I do.
Right. I don't know the detail of the case, but it's almost impossible for you not to get your kids if you're non-offending.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the law, I mean, you don't get your kids because there was some jurisdictional fact that allowed the kids to be taken away from you or from another parent. And then they have to prove by clear and convincing evidence that you're a substantial danger. How can you be a danger when you're non-offending?
Because
by definition, that doesn't add up.
His girlfriend told them a whole bunch of hearsay, and they believed it. And
well, that means you're not non-offending. If they believed the girlfriend's lies and said that you were, for example, some crazy drug addict, if they believe that and the judge believes that, that makes you offending, right? So, Georgette, when you use that phrase, "Oh, she's not offending," you got to be very careful. Now, the allegations could be false and the judge believed it anyway. That could be a problem. But that's an issue that you and your attorney should have worked out or tried to work out during the trial or on the appeal. But I'm going to bet $1, Cassandra, you didn't even have a trial. Did you?
No.
Yeah, you didn't even have a trial. So you didn't even challenge the girlfriend's statements. So when you don't challenge the girlfriend's statements with your own evidence, like you get on the stand under oath and you say, "Judge, that's false, and let me tell you why it's false," blah, 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 then the judge can say, "Oh, okay, there's evidence that the girlfriend is lying. And you know what? I'm going to believe Cassandra. She looks credible, sounds credible. Girlfriend has a motive to lie and make, shit up." So how did I know you didn't have a trial? Because of what you guys have been saying. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the other thing. You might have been counseled not to have a trial. How did I know that? When you're not offending and people tell me I don't want to do a case, I don't want to have a trial, you're basically going to lose. Mm-hmm. It's 3:30 here. Today around 12:15, a friend of mine called me, an attorney. All right. He doesn't work for me, but he's a lawyer and he does a lot of CPS cases. If I said his name, you'd recognize it. And he said, "Vince, these are the facts. I want you to tell my client what he should do because my client doesn't believe me." Now, I didn't know what this lawyer had recommended, but they were told me the facts. The guy got on the phone. I talked to him and I told him exactly what he should do. And he said to me, "Well, that's what the lawyer just told me." I said, "Well, he's giving you good advice in this situation." Right? But in your situation, you got to have a trial. You got to put on evidence or you're always going to lose. Here's the thing. If the social worker is against you and recommends against you, 999 times out of 1,000, if you don't challenge the social worker's recommendation by way of a contested hearing or trial and put on your own evidence, we don't need your attorney to argue. The law in California is attorney argument is not evidence. Mm-hmm. Attorney argument is not evidence. So you put on witnesses, you get on the stand and blah, 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 blah. All right. Then the judge has to make a decision. But if you don't put on evidence, you're going to lose. Mm-hmm. Period. End of story. next case.
Okay, so what can she do right now, Mr. Davis? What if the kids keep running away? Shouldn't the kids have a voice? If they keep running away and they want to be with their mom, I
They
mean,
should,
doesn't that
but
speak
her,
volume?
yeah, her mom should file a 388 with her attorney. Get
I've been
together.
trying to do that, and my attorney's like refusing to like help me in any way unless I do my classes. She's like, unless you do your stuff, like I'm not going to help you.
Well, now there is a point to that. Okay, there is a point to it, and I told you earlier, unless you appeal and win, you got to do what the judge said. Is that unfair? Yeah. Is that the law? Yeah. You know, I don't know if you've looked at my YouTube channel. One of the most important videos I've ever done was an explanation in about 7 minutes of what is justice. You see, justice isn't what you think it is. It's not even close. And if you know, the problem is that you don't have an army and a police force behind you. You don't have people that can make other people do things legally. Therefore, you have to follow what the judge says. You know, we're a country of laws and rules, even if it's unfair. Now, there are things that you can do to fight all of that. You could have had a trial, you know, and you could have done well. I mean, depending on how egregious the situation was, maybe you can make a motion for what they call ineffective assistance of counsel. Might be too late for that. I don't know. I haven't looked at your file. But assuming all of that is true, you know, you got to follow what your lawyer is saying, even though you don't like it, to get your kids back.
Right.
You know, I've seen kids that want to come home in this system never be sent home because the parent didn't do what they were ordered to do. I didn't say it was right or wrong. You think there's fairness and justice all the time?
Nope.
How many times on CNN, Cassandra, you ever been watching CNN or Fox or MSNBC, and there's some story about some guy who got out of jail because he was wrongly convicted 25 years ago? I mean, that's almost commonplace. So if you think guys are spending 30 years in jail on a humbug, you know, that was, you know, false, you losing your kids, you think that's something? So you know that things are happening that aren't right in the judicial system because it's not perfect. You know, judges and juries make mistakes. They make wrong decisions. You know why? Because they're human beings.
No, they make wrong decisions because it's all about money.
Oh, thank you, Georgette. Cassandra, they're human beings. I bet in your 30 years, you've made a bad decision at least one time. I know I have. You think judges and juries are different? So let's kind of, you know, think about what you need, what you want to do. You want your kids back? Is that the most important thing in the world? Okay. What's more important? Getting your kids back or being right?
Getting my kids back.
Okay. Okay. Then I can tell you what you need to do. So Georgette on Calendly, book her for an appointment and for a free consult, and I'll talk to her more in depth about her case. Because, you know, it sounds like she has a really easy case to win. But, you know, she's using some bad strategy either by her or her court-appointed attorney or both.
Like the court-appointed attorney I had at first is the one that told me not to just basically do what she says, like, and don't do anything about it because they're not going to listen to me anyway. And then the new attorney I got, which I didn't even know that my attorney got switched until like way later. as that's the one that's telling me I have to do everything that he's telling me to do. But I haven't ever appealed it or anything, so I don't know. Like, and I'm supposed to have visits with my kids, but they're like way out of town and separated.
Are they in the county though?
One's out of side of the county, one's in Riverside County.
Yeah, there's a provision in the code that talks about placement, and you might try to get the children placed back because they're outside the county. Do counties do that? All the time. They're waiting for you to challenge them. Do you have any friends or relatives that could take your kids?
At the moment, yeah, I have one close friend that I call my sister, and she actually just got a bigger house, and she said that she would be willing to take them.
Okay.
My mom denied them at the first time, so I couldn't have my mom take them, and that's the only person they would approve. Because
Wait a minute. Has your mom changed her mind?
No, it's because of my stepdad. He won't let them.
Okay, well then that's that. You can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
It's that family stuff going on. But file a 388 to have the kids. Your friend who wants the kids can file a 388 to get the kids back. And if she wants to know how to do that, tell her to book a free consultation. I'll give her the steps.
Her court-appointed attorney?
No. The girlfriend wants to get the kids.
Mm-hmm.
She's not entitled to a court-appointed attorney in California these days. There was a time where she might have gotten a free attorney,
right?
But not now. I can walk her through the steps. Now, can she do them? I don't know, but I can tell her what to do.
Yeah, she's pretty good at knowing what goes on with the whole system because she was in it when she was younger. So.
Oh, okay, makes sense then. Makes sense.
Well, Mr. Davis, what about all the parents that do all the classes and they still don't get their kids back?
That's a very interesting question, and
for 2 years, by the way.
There are many causes for that.
Mm-hmm.
Most not legitimate, in my opinion. Sometimes it is legitimate. Rarely, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've done everything, for the most part, you should be getting your kids back. That's the way the law is written.
That's exactly what it should happen. However, they always tell them, no, you have 6 more months to go or 3 more months to go. You have to do it again. And then why do they have to do drug classes when there's no drugs involved whatsoever? And every drug test they do is negative. Why do they have to keep doing drug classes if they've never done drugs, never been convicted of drugs? I get that question asked all the time.
What does that mean right there?
What is that? What mean?
Money.
Bingo.
Oh, money. Oh, is that what he was doing? Just like this? Oh, I thought you were having a nervous kind of.
It's good. It's good you're with us today, Cassandra. It's really good you're on the show.
I'm sorry. But okay, so it's all about money. Got it. So the classes, I get it. It's all about money, but I told you that earlier and you disagreed with me. It is about money. Even with the decisions the judges make, even criminals, innocent people going to jail. It's all about money. It's all about money.
I wouldn't say that like that, but what I will say is what starts the ball rolling down the wrong side of the hill is generally money based. You see, CPS in these counties, they make billions of dollars. LA County is like $2 billion from the federal government for having this system of child abuse, protecting children.
They're not protecting children. They're abusing children. They're harming children. They're not protecting them. But what's the point of taking a child from a good home or loving parents, putting them in a foster home with abusive foster parents who are domestic violence several times against them, drug users, sex offenders, past records against them, yet they will take children from parents who had 30-year past record against them for petty theft, for example. And they're using that against them, but yet they're putting the children in a home that has records against them. It makes no sense. So tell me where, Mr. Davis, there, what I just said that makes sense. It makes no sense.
Right. And like I told you the other day, now that we know that, what are you going to do?
I'm voting.
Oh, okay.
I already know who I'm voting for. I'm voting. I'm voting you judges out, and I'm making sure my whole county votes you out. That's what I'm doing.
You know, and then there are the people that make the law, the state legislators,
Mm-hmm.
the state senators, right?
Mm-hmm.
They make the laws.
Mm-hmm.
So
All that.
you gotta, get, a million people together and vote as a block.
Well, Cassandra and I are working on that, right, Cassandra?
Yeah.
We've been working on that for about 6 months now.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to vote them out. We're going to make sure we have the right people in office. We're going to make sure we have the right people on the bench making decisions, making wise decisions based on real law, not this some bullshit shit they make up in their mind. Like, oh, well, let me see how I feel about this person today. That's how I feel. It's like they look at you, they don't like you, and they like another person, the other party. Oh, I like him. I don't like her. Why don't you like her? I don't know. She has a tattoo. I don't like tattoos. He seems quiet. She's crying. He's quieter. I mean, it's like always. It's always preference in the courtroom. It's always preference. Who do they like better? It's not who's the right fit for the child. It's who they like better and best. I mean, come on, Mr. Davis. I'm sure you've seen.
I'm sure that happens sometimes. I'm not sure that it happens as much as you think. What I think happens is that most of these parents don't have the evidence to win. Most of the parents want to rely on the law.
No. Oftentimes, the judges will side with a narcissist, for example. A narcissist. A narcissist knows how to behave. A narcissist is very smooth, charmer, So they side with those type of people. Yet the ones who are the good
I
parents
agree.
are the ones
I
who are
agree.
emotional in court.
You know what? I can see that as being true in a lot of cases.
Mhm.
But here's the real problem. The system involves human beings. Mistakes are made, come out. People's prejudices come out. People get discriminated against.
Mm-hmm.
All the things that we see in society, we're going to see in the judicial system.
Mm-hmm.
It's not any different. People are people.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, but
Cassandra, did you have any more questions?
Yeah, she did. Did you read all of them?
Yeah. And this one is for a friend, I guess. Why would CPS take only one child and not the other child if they find the parent or parents unfitting or not fit to parent?
That's a very good question. I was brought up and trained by basically dealing with a judge that was kind of old school, one of the old school judges, commissioners in the juvenile court. And it was always his opinion, if you're not a danger to one child, how can you be the danger to the other? Now, a lot of people come up with arguments that split hairs some kind of way. But I just used that argument, and I don't know how much mileage I got out of it, but the case was thrown out. I just used that argument in a case that I won. They took away 4 young children, but they left, I think, 2 children in the home. One was 11, and I think one was like 7. And one of the things I argued was, well, if they really thought that they were a danger to kids, they wouldn't have left those 2 kids in the home. I mean, think about it for a second.
Yeah.
And of the 4 children they took, only one of them had been allegedly injured by the parents. So why take the other 3 if you're going to leave the 2 older ones? But, they came up with kind of an explanation that to me, really didn't make sense. But I'm the same way. Now, that doesn't mean your judge is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge, he or she is making the decisions.
If you feel a judge is biased, can somebody change the judge? Can they go to another county? Can they take their case to a different county, different judge?
The answer is yes to all of those questions, but it's not as easy as you think.
Okay, and how do you go about doing that?
By way of motions, by way of filing some type of emergency appeal if you lose. Yeah, there's ways to do it, but that's like people asking me, "Hey, can I sue the social worker?" Well, the answer is yes, but that's the wrong question. The question is, will I win if I sue the social worker? Because anybody can sue anybody for anything, especially in California. That doesn't mean it's a valid lawsuit. Doesn't mean that you're going to win.
What if the person moves to a different county for 3 months or more, resides there now? Can they move their case into that county?
They can make a motion to change venue. Doesn't mean it'll be granted, because there's a statute in the juvenile court laws about where proper venue is or can be. So just because you move doesn't mean the case is going to be transferred. And by the way, when case does get transferred, doesn't mean that's going to be better for you in another county.
That is very true. Corruption is in every state, every county. Now, what about like with Cassandra's case? For example, in Cassandra's case, she has to do classes. What if the classes stops her job, like moving forward with her career because of the time of the classes and her job hours as well? What can she do to protect that? Because she does need a job, because I've seen people losing their jobs because of classes.
She's got to work around it.
Oh my God. Okay.
Georgette, I'm just the messenger, my friend.
I know. It's not you that's frustrating. It's the system. Really, it frustrates me. I chose a different career in life. I wish I chose to be a judge and made a difference in life. I guess growing up, I never thought that this will ever be. I used to think the system works. So, anyways, I'm gonna have to wrap it up, everyone. Again, I mentioned earlier in the show about the special, the 20% the discount that Mr. Davis agreed to provide everyone. Thank you for that, Mr. Davis. And if you guys need me, please contact the office and ask for GP. And I will be able to, once they'll give me a message, they'll send me an email, and I will call you guys back. I am going to be working until 10:30 tonight. So you're more than welcome to call me or text me or have the office email me your information, and I will definitely call you. If it's too late for you, please let the reception know it's too late. However, I asked Mr. Davis to give that discount today for so many of you that's been calling and cannot afford a full retainer. So Mr. Davis again agreed to cut down the retainer 20% down. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Davis, for joining me again today. Although that is your platform, I shouldn't be thanking you. But thank you. Thank you
Hey,
for coming to the show, Mr. Davis.
Hey, Cassandra, don't forget to make an appointment to talk to me about your case, okay? Are you in Bakersfield?
Barstow.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, everyone, Georgette, I'm willing to join you tomorrow, so let me know if you want me to appear.
I'll let you know, Mr. Davis. Thank you very much.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. Bye bye.
Bye, Cassandra.